Hey, what's going on? So I want to talk about the whole Black Lives Matter thing that's going on right now. And I mean, it's pretty relevant, so I feel like I have something I want to talk about and give you my views on it. What the fuck? Gone. Oops. Anyway, I feel like something like this, you have to see it from different angles. You have to put yourself in other people's shoes, and you have to just kind of like see why people act the way they act. The way I see it is, look at from the people who are protesting. And it's not just black people. You have white people out there posting. What is it? Not posting. What is it fucking called? Protesting. Whatever. You got all walks of life pretty much out there protesting. Obviously, it's mainly blacks. I think the main thing that they're protesting is police brutality and how it's targeted towards black people, right? Primarily black neighborhoods, etc. And how some of these things are also resulting in deaths of people. And obviously, one death is one too many. And I think the anger is coming from they're feeling that they're getting off, that the checks and balances that are supposed to be in place aren't really like working out for them. So the police department really is more so trying to protect their police officer rather than protect the people, right? The people that they're supposed to be serving. So I think there's an anger in there. I think that's the underlying message right there. And they're saying that Black Lives Matter, that we should, they should get the fair shake, whatever you want to call it. And obviously these things are true. One death is going to be one too many. This shouldn't happen. But then you also have to look at the other side. There's a lot of things that we don't know, that we don't get to see, as far as like, let's say you were on like the jury or something, and in this case you're gonna find out that the guy might have been like putting his hand, like the hand that you didn't see was reaching for his gun or something. Or if you're in a fight, if you're fighting and I have a gun, I'm gonna probably be more likely to fear for my life. Even though I have the gun, I'm the police officer, you didn't have a gun. But if you're resisting and you're fighting with me and I feel like I could be threatened at some point because maybe your hand slipped and was going towards my gun or something like that, and maybe you weren't even going after my gun, but maybe you were, or maybe you're in the fight, you're just trying to grab on something, or during being restrained, you're just trying to grab on something for positioning, and it feels like you're going towards the gun, and then that split second of fearing for their life, something happens, right? And then they shoot. There's stuff like that can happen. There's situations where maybe someone's running towards somebody else that they're unarmed, but they're running towards somebody that they could be potentially about to harm, and maybe if in that split second, if you feel like this guy's running over there, he could do harm to somebody else, maybe kill them or something like that, then you make a quick reaction. Maybe you didn't bring in all the tangibles of the situation, but you reacted, right? I would assume the police department would back you up in that situation. Just the nature of the job is just like high tension. Things can pop off at any moment. Life and death situations are going down probably a lot, especially depending on your city. But I would assume that the police would back up other police. Now, do I understand also that it's shitty when you see things, plus the video things, like when you see things like video is hard to go by. There's a lot of things you don't see. But I mean, what's the excuse when someone's like, and it's not like like a white girl, old white dude, whatever. It's not, these videos these things aren't just happening to black people. The police brutality, like, end of it. I've seen a bunch of videos. There was a spree there where like video after video after video was just popping up. And some of them were like in the precinct or something, when like there was like this girl there or something, like just sitting there. And these mammoth fucking police officers just come over there and just like manhandle her. I think they slammed her to the ground, like busted her like face. She either she was sitting there or in the cell. And they just went in there and started working on this girl for nothing. Obviously you don't see it, but there's nothing. What could she have done? She could have said anything she wanted, right? And it wouldn't have warranted getting that ass whipped like that by a police officer inside the precinct. You're already in jail, right? You're already getting punished, right? She don't know she was going to jail, whatever. But something was happening. You're there. you're getting punished for something. You don't need to get your ass whipped. But, you know what I mean? Like, come on. And like that kind of shit pisses you off. Like, I don't know if those guys got in trouble, so it makes you feel like, you know, justice isn't being served and like they're getting let out or something. I feel like you would make a public statement or something. Or maybe at the end of the day, maybe they did, right? I saw the video and maybe all those people are fired. You know? Maybe. I don't think so. But maybe they did. Maybe there was a public statement by their, like the police chief and condemning the activities of that and maybe putting things in measures or putting like measures in place to make that not happen again. I don't know. I don't think that's happened. Maybe a couple times, but not as much as it probably should. So back to the Black Lives Matter thing. You kind of see where I'm kind of going. There's not everything's cut and dry with the video, and there's things that like the police department might back them up on because they know some more details. And the way in which they work is, you know, they understand their guidelines and what little factors that could have played a part. Obviously, police are just people at the end of the day, so they're gonna be bad ones. That's in everything. You're gonna have bad regular people. You're gonna have bad citizens. You're gonna have good citizens. You're gonna have bad cops. You're gonna have good cops. That's just how the world works. It's not like, you know, a lot of people like have heard the phrase like, you know, of America's finest or something like that. No, they're not America's finest. Not at all. Just because you have that job, I know plenty of people. I know of a racist cop. Well, he was racist back when I knew him. I mean, he's a cop now, but unless he, you know, cleaned up in like 2 years or so. I know of one right now. You think he's gonna give black people, you know, like a fair, like a equal opportunity as he would a white person? Probably not. But he's probably not going to give a black person like a fair chance or the same chance and same opportunities that he would a white person, or the same breaks or whatever it is, or even just how he approached them is probably going to be different, right? You would assume so if you don't like them because their skin. I've heard things that you've said about them, and what you've called them and stuff like that. So that sticks with you, especially when you're working in such a position of authority where you can impose your will on somebody like that. And what can they do really to stop? And if they do complain, or is the police department actually gonna like do something to you? And I think that's where a lot of the anger stems from. But then you also have to look at, all right, Black Lives Matter, the movement. If it's based on that, right? Is it based on, I guess at the end of the day, it's black people getting killed, right? Because Black Lives Matter, right? So you want to preserve black lives. And I think where other people see something that's kind of like a fallacy in there is that wouldn't you mainly be protesting what probably kills them the most, black on black crime? Isn't black on black crime more so than whites killing blacks and more so than cops killing blacks for sure, right? So you would think you would target that and you would spend your energy there, educating, trying to help certain communities to get out of such a poverty-stricken, you know, lifestyle. Did I say education already? Yeah, making sure your education, having good opportunities, putting charity things in effect to get people into college and to have a positive goal to like achieve and move towards. Not saying they don't have that, not saying that doesn't exist, but wouldn't that be your main message and your main argument? So you can also see where people, you know, see that discrepancy. And then you have the all lives matter people. And then obviously when I say Black Lives Matter, they're not saying like all lives don't matter and that their lives only matter. But then you have the all lives matter people who I think it comes from a good place. Like obviously they're trying to suggest that you should be people first. And this is where I kind of line myself with. You should be humanity first. Like this will equal up if you just focus on humanity, focus on the impoverished areas and stuff like that. When you're saying Black Lives Matter, I think maybe you probably are saying that. So maybe it's not so much the way I'm saying it, but let's focus on lives matter. and this is an area. A lot of black people are suffering in these areas from poverty-stricken things or from poverty-stricken areas. A lot of violence. Black people are getting incarcerated a lot more than white people for the same crime, right? Jails are filled with black people, and you'll see why that's probably an area to start. Not an area to start, but that's why this group's focusing on that. And that's where I think actually the main issue is. It's more so that it's not so much that the police shootings and the police brutality are such a monstrous problem that we have to address it. I think it's accumulation of what's going on. When you do have majority of prisons filled with black people, and especially for the same crime, when they get arrested, I don't know what the stat is, but more likely than a white person for the same crime. Especially like drug use, but it's said that white people and black people use drugs about the same amount. But like black people are getting arrested a lot more. So you're starting to see that they're that they're getting targeted more, and then you start feeling a certain type of way. You see your neighborhoods or whatever, the way you're portrayed on TV, the media, shit like that. I think it's an accumulation of just anger, and that's just coming up right here in this way, because it's authority, and I don't know if if the race is tied in. I want to say it is, right? There's race tied in. I know it's definitely the authority of the police, but I think I think it's kind of racial, right? Because it's because they're black. It's not necessarily police. It would have to be white police, right? Because if it was black police versus black lives, you wouldn't. I don't know. So it's probably, I guess the undertone is definitely race, but I feel like it's just that accumulation of all these different things, and it's bubbling up this movement, and that's really the core of it. Not so much what their platform really is, where it's about the police brutality, but I think this is what's going on. So like I'm saying, I see it from that view. I see it also from the police view, and then I also see it from other people, from I guess like white people who are looking in and doing some dissecting of their own and their view, and seeing like their message, and also seeing that there's a lot of black on black crime, and why aren't you focusing energy there? Why are you doing it this way? And then it just creates more tension and more tension. And I'm one for these weird conspiracy shit. I think that this is kind of what the government kind of wants. I don't know the government. This is what this higher up shit kind of wants. They want to impose that martial law kind of stuff, and I think they want to, through propaganda, keep pushing this racial tension, and through that they can impose martial law, take more civil liberties away, shit, and I think it's just feeding into it, and that's why they are constantly showing, obviously, do black people kill white people? Yeah. Have they done it for purely racial reasons? Yeah. But that doesn't get the crazy media attention. So as a white person, you would see it and be like, oh, why is this happening? But you won't put this here. But so that fuels your anger. And then on the black side, obviously, you have this white, for a racial reason, killing this black person. And that's going to fuel you. And so you have these two sides, and they're trying to force that down people's throat. That's why the media is spending more time on these stories rather than the other way around. I think so. At the end of the fucking day, just focus on you. Don't get so angry at somebody's views. Make sure that you're focused on just being a better person for yourself. Be smart, care about people, think about their side. You don't have to agree with it, but think about their side, understand where they're coming from, understand why they're acting this way, and then what do we need to do? What can we do to make that situation better? Anyway, at the end of the day, don't be a fucking dick. Be cool, be nice, love people, and all this shit will go away. Just be understanding of where people are coming from, see it from their side before, and I don't know, this is not directly towards the Black Lives Matter group, but before you act up, this is from all angles, before you, not act up, but before you start rioting or whatever the fuck's gonna go down, think about things, think about it from them, have compassion for other people, and Like I said earlier, stop being dicks.